Hello, in this video I'm going to show you how to add the Ford Drive Mode memory module to the Ford F-150. On the side of the shifter we have a button DM, Drive Mode. By pushing it, the user can select one of the 5 available drive modes. Once you select the drive mode, the ECU changes some of the characteristics, shift patterns, response to the accelerator and so forth. And then it works until you come to the stop, to the rest stop or refueling stop or small or short stop, and you restart the engine. Ford unfortunately did not add the memory module to this function. So once we restarted the car, we go back and we back into the normal mode. So if you want to drive in the sport mode, you would have to hit the button 5 times every time you restart the car. So what we're going to do today, we're going to add the module that's going to add the memory function to the drive mode selection. To install the memory module, we would need to lift this plastic cover that held by 8 clips. There's 3 clips here and 2 clips up front. We will need to remove this and remove the shifter cover, and then we'll have access to the wires. To remove this cover, we will need a screwdriver and a little bit of force. So what we need to do, we need to put the screwdriver between those plastic cover and the base, so it lifts up a little bit. And then we're going to use the fingers to lift up this plastic. It requires a little bit of force, and it breaks with some of the noise, but it's actually pretty safe. Once you see what underneath, you will understand. So same thing here. We're gonna stick the screwdriver a little bit here, and then we're going to use the fingers to lift this cover up. So we lifted the cover up. Now we got what we're gonna do. We're gonna pull it. There are 2 clips up front, plastic clips, and we're going to pull the this cover towards us. We're going to just gently push from the left and then from the right. And here's our cover. We would need to move the shifter. In order to do that, we will need to start the car, move the shifter, then maybe shut off the car, and then move it back. Okay, so here's the cover. Now you see there are 8 clips, so there are 2 on the side, 2 in the middle, and 2 on the other side, and there's a 2 up front. So there's 2, 1 and 2, and that's why we have to yank it back to us. Okay, so once we took the cover off, plastic cover off, we need to remove 2 torque screws. So it's the T20. So there are 2 screws here. I'm just gonna take them out. That holds this plastic cover of the shifter and the cup holder. This holds to the other base with the 6 same plastic clips. So we have to just yank it upwards. But now I'm just gonna taking the screws out. Okay, 1 out, 2nd out. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 clips. So basically just apply the force. And the same thing from the other side. Okay. So here we go. So once we lift it up, you will notice the shifter has the connector here, and that's the connector that we're going to work with. So once you take this cover off, now we have access to the connector here. It will be easier if we move the shifter a little bit. So I'm going to start the car, move the shifter, to the reverse, and then it makes it easier to work on this connector here. Okay, so now we have access to the connector, and we're going to install our Ford module, Ford drive mode memory module. It's kind of intricate setup here, but you will see how we're gonna connect it here. What we need to do, we need to connect to the shifter lever here, because the whole assembly moves when you shift gears, so it needs to be all connected to that shifter. Okay, so to install the module, we're going to use a couple zip ties and double-sided tape. I'm just going to leave the zip ties here. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to apply a double-sided tape. So my black wire is on the left and white is on the right. And that's the side I'm going to apply the tape on. So I'm going to apply the tape. I'm going to peel the protective thing off. I'm going to put a zip tie around it a little bit ahead of time. Okay, and I'm going to stick the module right in the back of that shifter rod. There's a plastic base, and that's where I want to rest the module. And maybe the first I need to unplug this plug. That will help. Okay. Unplug the plug, and now I can tie it to my zip tie. And that way I can securely attach the module. Now let's cut this end. Okay, so we did that. So now we're going to, you will notice that the top is the male plug and has a lock on the back. So we're going to take our male black plug and we position the lock on the back and plug it in. It will only plug one way. And we're going to plug the other female plug back into the male plug like this, and we're going to turn it all around and nicely tie it with the zip tie, because the whole assembly is going to move on that shifter. So want to make sure they're all moving together. So I'm going to apply the zip tie. I'm going to hide the wires under it. You don't have to do it very tight, it just needs to be secure, so it all sit in one place. And that's pretty much how we want it. And I'll show you in a second why. So I'm going to tighten up a little, and then we're going to, and that's it. So if we start the car, we can move the shifter. We're going to start the car. We have to move this back, okay. We have to move the shifter back to the original position. And we're going to start the car. And now you will notice if we move the shifter, it all moves as one unit. Doesn't touch anything, doesn't rub anything, it just moves as one unit. Okay, and that's it. So the assembly back is very simple. Actually, it would make sense to move the shifter back to the reverse. shut the vehicle. That way you can put the cover back. Put the cover back. Attach two screws. Okay, let's move it back so it stops that noise. Okay, so we're going to put the screws back. Okay, second screw. They don't have to be very tight, just snug. Okay, and now we're gonna put this cover back. That would require to move the shifter again to the reverse position. So we can put the cover on top, and then we can move it back. And now we have to do the most difficult part, is to put this plastic cover back. The most difficult to the two front clips. It's sometimes hard to align them. So I'm just gonna align the left side first, since I can't really see it. The right side, not the left side. And the left side, then I'm gonna do, so align the right side, looks like it's gonna fit, and then I'm gonna do the left side. Basically, you have to just push it forward, make sure that the clips are aligned, and then you have to push the side a little bit, and eventually it will get in. Okay, so the left side in, right side in, and then you just press it, and you're done. And that's how it works. Okay, so the module is installed now. We're going to see how that works. So I'm gonna shut off the car. I'm going to restart the car. For now, it's just the accessory on. So the module waits until you get ignition on, and then it's automatically switched to the sport mode. That's the default mode. So let's see it one more time. I'm going to show you that I'm not pushing any buttons. I'm just starting the car. And in 10 seconds the mode changed. So now if you want to change it to some other modes, you just do it a normal procedure. You push the button, you select the other mode. Let's say we're going to select the eco mode, and now it's going to run in the eco mode until you come to the stop. You're going to start the vehicle, put in the ignition, and the module is going to select your previously selected mode. So now it's going to drive in eco mode until you shift it to the, and if you want to go back, you basically push the button, you go back to the normal mode, and when you restart the car, it's going to back in the normal mode. It's not going to change anything. So it's going to stay there until you decide again to change it to something else, and you just basically pick your drive mode, restart the car, and the module is going to shift it back to that selected drive mode. So this drive mode memory module has two parameters that can be changed by the end user. One is the number of drive modes this vehicle has. So in this particular F-150, there are 5 different modes. But in your car, it's possible that maybe you have an older vehicle, it maybe has only 4 modes, or maybe you have 6 different modes, or 7. So we need to change the number of modes this vehicle has, so the module can properly track the changes. The other parameters is the wait time before the modes automatically change. So when you restart the car, the module waits for the period of time. By default, it's 10 seconds, and then it changes the modes. So the module is waiting until the car starts and going through the startup procedure, because at that time it's impossible to change those modes. So if you feel that you need to have a longer time, maybe shorter time, maybe your vehicle starts up fast and you can change the modes maybe after the first 5 seconds, then you can change it from the default 10. So let me show you how to do that. So driving modes, number of driving modes, and the pause, and the time that you need to wait before it changes the mode are changed at the same time. So let's see how it's done. So to do that, we need to turn the vehicle off. And what we're going to do, we're going to push the drive mode and hold it and turn ignition on. And then we're going to release the button. And now we put the module into the programming mode. So the first thing we need to do, we need to set the number of modes. So if you have 5 modes, we'll push the button 5 times. If you have 4, you push it 4 times, and so forth. So we push it 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It doesn't matter what it shows on display. The module tracks the number of pushes done by the user. So now we set the number of modes, and now we need to change the number of seconds. Let's say we want to change it from 10 to 6 seconds. So without turning the car off, we're going to push the button again and hold it for more than 5 seconds. The best thing is probably hold it for 6 and 7 seconds just to make sure. So we held it for about 7 seconds, release the button, and now we're going to change the number of seconds this unit waits. And it's just each push is 1 second. So if you want to set it up for 6 seconds, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so let's say 7. We push it 7 times, and then we turn ignition off. Again, there are 2 parameters. One is the number of modes this module tracks. This car is 5, and number of seconds it waits when you after you start the car to the time you're going to automatically change the modes. Since the car going through the restart procedures, it's not possible to change the modes in the first couple of seconds. So that's why we have to wait for 10 seconds or maybe 5 seconds. So to change it, again, you turn the car off, push the button, hold the button, turn the car on, and then release the button. The first thing we need to do is set up the number of modes. We push the button 5 times since this car has 5 modes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then you're going to push the button and hold it for more than 5 seconds. And that puts the module in a different programming. Now it's going to expect the number of seconds to configure the number of seconds it's going to wait. And we're just going to push the number of times equal number of seconds. So if we want to wait for 6 seconds, we're going to push it 6 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then turn the car off. And it also resets your tracking mode to default to the normal. So now, if we turn the car on, it's not going to change the modes because when we set those first 2 parameters, it's reset to normal. So we'll need to select the driving mode. Let's say we select Econo, and we turn the car off. Let's restart the car. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it changed to econo mode. So it only waited for 5 seconds. But it may be not enough for your particular vehicle, especially in the ignition only mode. It's usually not enough because there's other display messages you might need to wait for 10 seconds. So maybe keeping default is pretty safe.